Good morning, everybody. Morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Thursday, everybody. Thursday. All right. Well, let's get started here. Welcome. It is Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Let's get started, everybody. Let's see what we got going on this morning. So we got a little bit of a pullback yesterday on the markets, all right? A little bit of a pullback. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up days in a row with us gapping up yesterday, right? Take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously really extended. Look at the 60-minute chart. Multiple extension green candles in a row. So naturally yesterday it gapped up and decided to correct that extension a little bit by pulling back. So we got a little bit of a red candle, but we're still sitting at the 9 EMA. If you take a look at the hourly chart here, we're still sitting at the blue line, which is this 9 EMA on the hourly chart. So that is still an area that, could hold and maybe try to make an attempt to go higher. But obviously, overall, in the big picture, we got the breakout. We broke out over here. And then obviously a retest is, on the cards, basically. And it's not a bad thing. Stocks love to do that. They love to break out, love to pull back, and then continue the uptrend higher, just forming higher highs and higher lows. So that's what it looks like at the moment. All right. And let's get started. So that's the S&P 500. Take a look at the NASDAQ, QQQ. All right. Look what happened over there. So the Qs rallied all the way up into this downtrend line, right? So we got a downtrend line here. We got a downtrend line there. Right, downtrend line here. This downtrend line's been clearly being a level of resistance. So we ran up into that downtrend line yesterday, and look what happened. Right, we pulled right back down. So today we're gapping down on the Qs, gapping down from 717 down into 711. Right, so pretty decent sized gap down, $6 gap down, almost taken out pretty much that green candle from 4th of August. So a little bit bearishness here compared to the spiders. Right, so a little bit bearishness compared to the spiders there. Spiders obviously, made a brand new all-time highs. Q's not able to make an all-time high yet. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, the level to watch out for today is the low, right, of Tuesday. And if we take out the low of Tuesday, then most likely we're going to go down and fill the gap. So 708 is an area to watch. If we break 708, I think the market goes down to about 701. Right, and that's where the 21 EMA is, and that's where the gap fill is. So that's what it looks like at the moment. All right, on the market. So no specific bias, really. I think, as always, it just will come down to individual stocks, trying to find stocks on their own page. So that is what we got going on. So let's see what else we got from the gap list perspective. All right, so let's take a look here. All right. So a big gap down on APP today. Appalovian Corporation. Big gap down from $417 to $339. So pretty massive gap down there. Not really interested in it though. The weekly is interesting. The weekly is taking out an important area of support. So obviously has room to go down. But it's a pretty big gap down, right? I mean, from 417 to 339. So we just have to be mindful of that. But I'm going to go ahead and add this stock to our short idea watch list today. All right. We also got Celsius gapping down, CELH, gapping down to $25. Yeah, looks pretty bearish overall. All right. This was this wedge pattern here on CELH, and we're gapping down pretty much to this prior low, which could be an area of support, but we're also taking out an uptrend line. So this one, I'm actually probably going to leave it alone. I'm probably going to leave this one alone. Not a huge fan of that. All right. We got WDC gapping down, Western Digital gapping down from a daily sell setup, but coming down right into the support area. This area used to be support a bunch of times, so that area is a little bit tricky there. So I don't think it's going to be an easy short to try to short that into that zone on WDC. So I'm probably going to leave that alone as well. We got SpaceX flat open today, but today is where the lockup expires, right? So today is the day where millions and millions of shares are going to come into the market. The lockup expires and people are able to sell their shares. So that'll be interesting to see if people choose to do that or not, right? But there's a lot of shares. I mean, the float basically triples, right? Whatever the float has been for the last few days, it basically doubles or triples. So a lot more shares hitting the market now. Probably gonna leave that alone. If it breaks under $100, that's when I'll get interested to maybe do some cash secured put. For now, I'm gonna wait on that and see what we got. We got a gap up on SOUN, SoundHound AI. This stock is gapping up today, gapping up from 643 up to about 814. So pretty good here on SOUN. A nice little gap up, but it's a little too big, right? From $6.43 to $8 in percentage terms, it's a pretty big gap. But it does have room to go higher into this area here, to about $9 area. So not bad. We'll keep an eye out on it, but it's not really something that I'm super duper excited about, but I want to keep an eye on it nonetheless. All right. All right, we got Datadog gapping down today. Datadog, DDOG. So this stock was $283 yesterday. Today it's $236. However, it is coming down into a little bit of an uptrend line, perhaps, or maybe it's taking it out. We'll see. But today's gapping down to 236, right into this prior pivot, which could be support. But I think if we break that, then we also break this uptrend line, which means Datadog could go down to 213. So not a bad gap down. I think you could definitely keep an eye out on DDOG on the short side today. All right. We got Robinhood, a little bit of a sell setup on a daily chart. Robinhood has been weak, rallied back up into the 50 MA, left two topping tails. So looks like maybe this thing wants to retrace lower. However, the weekly chart is a little bit of a buy setup. So, multiple time frames not really in alignment. So I'm going to skip that. ENPH also. Daily chart sell setup here looks lower. I mean, all the solar stocks look lower. But again, the weekly chart, not really something I would want to short. So I'm going to leave that alone on that. All right. We got SanDisk gapping down today as well. SNDK gapping down from 1350 down into 1190. So, pretty decent gap down. Could go lower on SanDisk, but it's not an easy stock to day trade. So just keep that in mind. Chris is looking at ALB, Albemarle Corporation. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Gapping up today above all of this resistance here, above the 21 EMA. Weekly chart, a little bit of a buy setup look to it. I like it. Looks pretty good. Nice looking long idea there on ALB. Gapping above that resistance looks decent for sure. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. We got QBTS gapping down from 2139 to 1880. Nothing special there. We got Novavax. Novavax could be an interesting long idea. NVAX, getting above yesterday's high, maybe above 780 could be an interesting idea. Keep an eye out on that. All right, so that's that. We got Apple gapping up. Apple looks really, really good to me, but Apple and me, we don't get along very well, as you guys know. So, but Apple, nice gap up today, gapping up above the 50-period moving average, above this resistance on the 60-minute, room to go higher and fill the gap there. So again, looks great on Apple, but Apple's just for me, I find it a pretty challenging stock to day trade. All right. Johnson & Johnson gapping up today as well. Again, nice gap up on Johnson & Johnson on the daily chart. gapping up from 257 to 260, right above this area, taking out that area that opens up room to go into the gap fill. So it has the void, looks pretty good. However, the higher time frames are, you know, yeah, not my cup of tea. Not really for me there on the higher time frames. So I'm gonna skip that on those. IONQ gapping up today as well. IONQ, this one I like, gapping up above the last two trading days. Does have room to go higher into the 200 period moving average at 45.60. So I think IONQ is worth a watch. We got O'Reilly Automotive gapping up today. This one going to be a little bit tricky. You know, third green day coming into the 200 MA, a little bit tricky. But if it can get above that, then, you know, then it has the room to go higher. So we can put it on the list to keep an eye out on it, but a little bit tricky there. We got Oxy gapping up today, OXY, Oxy. Yeah, Oxy looks pretty good. A red candle yesterday, and then today it's gapping up above that red candle. So above $56, it could actually go up and fill the gap around 57. So it's got about $1 to trade this morning. So potentially, you know, could be a nice day trade to capture $1. So keep an eye on that. On this Oxy, looks interesting there. OXY. All right. All right, let's see what else we got going on today. CMCSA, Comcast. Yeah, Comcast looks pretty good. CMCSA gapping up above this resistance area. So yeah, if it can get above 25, then has room to go higher on CMCSA. Not bad idea. All right, so let's take a look at some swing trades we got going on. So obviously, we have Tesla covered calls that we're doing right now. They're looking pretty good. We're positive on our stock, and if Tesla stays below 327.50 by tomorrow, right? So 327.50. If it stays below that, then we'll keep our shares, you know, and then we'll also we'll get like $6,500 in profit on the stock. And if Tesla gets above 327.50 by tomorrow market close, then basically we'll still get our $6,500 in profit on our covered calls, but we'll also get another $6,000 or so on our stock. So it'll be like a nice $12,000, $13,000 trade tomorrow. If Tesla gets above it or below it, doesn't matter. We'll still make money tomorrow. So that's a nice one going on. We got Nokia swing trade, NOK. So we bought this one at $9.07 in the newsletter. I did buy more. I added more the other day. Maybe I should have waited 1 day or 1 or 2 days to add. I think today would have been a great spot to actually do the ad. But anyways, I did add the other day. So my average cost right now on my Nokia position is basically right around here, $9.40. So I still like it, but obviously, you know, things depend on the markets. If the markets continue to have a deeper pullback, then might not get it done. But if the markets can hold up, then I like it quite a bit. It's a nice weekly chart pattern for a swing trade. As long as it can just stay above this $8 area, you know, then long term, I think it looks pretty good. I did buy some for my long term position as well, but it's got to stay above like $8, because as long as it's above $8, it could still do these retest patterns and all of that. Might take its time, but overall, I think it might be an interesting idea. So we'll see. All right, let me go ahead and post my watch list in the chat, so you guys have my watch list for today, and then we're gonna get started. All right. All right, there is my watch list. All right, just posted that in the chat. All righty. Yeah, I forgot. Johnson & Johnson mentioned earlier. You could watch it, but it does have room to go higher for sure. Has $5 room to go higher, but higher time frames seem a little bit extended for my taste, so I'm probably gonna leave it alone. Um, but yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see what today brings. It's been a pretty good trading week overall. Yesterday was the most boring day ever. Um, yeah, yesterday was the most boring trading day ever, but hopefully today we can have a nice day. Uh, yeah, Zillow Group is gapping down today as well. Zillow Group had earnings, gapping down to 3170. Um, XYZ gapping up a little bit. Just seeing if there's any late gappers that I might have missed. Yeah, but very mixed signals here, right? Very mixed signals. Qs are gapping down. Semiconductors, memory stocks are gapping down. Um, but then we have oil and the S&P actually are holding up okay. So a lot of mixed signals here in the markets. Chris, you're looking at COHR and CRWD. Um, yeah, CRWD, definitely very extended on the higher time frames. Monthly chart extended, weekly is extended, daily, also leaving a topping tail yesterday, kind of at the top of the channel. Might want to come to the bottom of the channel. So yeah, not a bad gap down at all on CRWD. COHR, same thing. This one looks good too. I like him. Nice scanning there, Chris. Nice scanning. I always like Chris's ideas there. Good scanning. Nice job. AMD gapping down today after a topping tail. Yeah, I mean, all these stocks, right? AMD, SanDisk, WDC, they're all in the same kind of overall sector. So they're all gapping down. I will say AMD, if you want to short something, I like it better than the WDC and the SanDisk. So yeah, AMD looks much better on the short side. And yeah, Tesla, obviously you could watch it too. Tesla's got a sell set up on a daily chart. This one might also want to go lower. So keep an eye out on that. All right, guys, market's going to open here in about a minute. All the best, everybody. Let's get it done. All right, so again, I'm not going to force it. You guys know me. I don't trade to put on a show. I'm not here to entertain anybody. I'm here to do what I do based on my trading plan. And some days, there's a lot of trades. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 trades. Some days, there's no trades. So, just got to be comfortable with that. Like yesterday, pretty boring day. Nothing special going on. A few days before that, everything was going on. There was trades everywhere. So keep that in mind. So we'll see what happens, see what the markets bring. All the best. All right. Be patient, follow your trading plan, and let's do this. Alrighty. Well, let's get it done. It's a pre-recorded video on loop. Yes, definitely. I'm not live. This is just AI. Hello world. All right. Dell gapping down today as well. Dell failing at the resistance area, gapping down a little bit. All right. ELF Beauty moving on up today. Tesla looking lower, yeah. Tesla looks like a short idea under low of the day here. Keep an eye on Tesla. TSLA looks lower under low of the day. So right now, I'm looking at Tesla. I mean, Tesla's trying to bounce here, putting in a bottoming tail, which is perfect because if it takes that out now, it looks like a short idea. So I definitely like that. I also like this CRWD under low of the day, although only one issue with CRWD. The issue with CRWD is that it is kind of into the gap fill. It dropped right into the gap fill today, and it's bouncing up from that area. So that's the only issue. But under low of the day, CRWD looks pretty good, and so does Tesla. Tesla looks really good. I might take a shot at Tesla puts, guys. Hold on. We'll see. So right now, I like Tesla lower under low of the day. I like CRWD under low of the day. I like CMCSA, Comcast over high of the day there. Yeah. Comcast over high of the day looks like a pretty interesting long idea. Apple looks great over high of the day. I mean, should I do Apple? I mean, Apple and me don't get along. Every time I try to trade Apple, it just does the opposite of what it looks like it wants to do. But over high of the day, looks like a solid trade there on Mr. Apple. All right, I'm going to be patient for just a couple minutes just to get a semblance of where the market wants to go. But AMD looks good too. Yeah, right now AMD under low of the day looks like a pretty solid idea. All right, let's see, guys. We got to make our decision. Things are going to move. Johnson & Johnson, you could watch over high of the day. Johnson & Johnson over high of the day is interesting. Datadog under low of the day is interesting. ALB over high of the day. Apple over high of the day. Comcast looks pretty good. So I'm interested in Comcast long, Apple long. Those look like the best ones right now. All right, what's the markets up to? Pulling back. I think Apple, if it comes back up, I'm interested in Apple over high of the day if it comes back up. But right now it's dropping, so not much to do there. And AMD under low of the day, I'm also very interested in. All right, I'm going to throw in a bunch of calls in the chat just so I don't miss anything here. But right now, yeah, Apple looks pretty good. I might do Apple, guys. All right, I'm going to do Apple most likely. All right, I'm going to do Apple. All right, I'm going to do Apple. Entry will be over 315.86. All right, so entry is going to be 315.86. So it needs to come back all the way up with a stop loss at the low of the day, which is 313.72. All right. So basically, yeah. So if it comes back up, we're going to do Apple. I'm going to just type the post in the chat. Give me 1 second. All right. Apple 315.86 by 313.72. All right. So if it comes back up on Apple, I'll take a shot at it. But it needs to come back up to trigger. All right. So that's what it's going to look like right over here. 315.86 as a stop order. Stop loss 313.72. All right. So Apple. Obviously, if it takes out the low of the day before it actually triggers, then we're going to cancel. It's simple as that. All right. Simple as that. But for now, it's valid. It might not trigger, which is fine. All right, I guess we're going to cancel the Apple. No trigger there. Thing is going down, so we don't get in. That's all right. Cancel the Apple. All right, let's keep moving. Yep, AMD. So AMD is going higher, so we're going to leave that alone. Tesla is going higher, so let it go. COHR is going higher. CRWD is going higher. So all of the stocks that were on the short list are actually bouncing off support. And then the longs, they aren't really doing anything. The longs are pulling back. So, yeah, a lot of mixed signals here this morning too, which is interesting. Yeah. This one's a little bit interesting. ALB, if it comes back above 129 again, a little bit interesting, but volume's an issue right now. Datadog's moving higher too. Sound is moving higher. Yeah, so the gap list has turned into crap list, everybody. There is nothing out here today. Wow. Just like that. All right, we're going to keep scanning. We're going to keep scanning. The watch list isn't doing much here. CHYM, yeah, that thing's taken off. All right. SpaceX. So SpaceX, today's the day where large volume is going to come in. Today's the day where the lockup expires, right, for some people. So the float almost doubles today. So however many shares existed on SpaceX yesterday, now there's like 2 or 3 times the shares because the people who invested pre-IPO, they get their shares today to be able to sell. Now the question is, will they sell thinking that, well, I need to sell right now and lock in my profits? Or will they say, well, now it's down like almost 200 where everybody's looking to buy. Maybe I'll just hold on. So today's going to be interesting to see how many people actually choose to sell SpaceX. My view has always been that wait for a pattern to get in. Just because it's Elon Musk, just because it's SpaceX, don't just rush in to buy it, right? Because people get hammered that way on IPOs. So I made a video on that. Up on our YouTube on how to trade SpaceX, which is to wait for a pattern. And right now there is no pattern. However, if it breaks $100, I think a great way to trade it, which I will most likely be doing, is I'll be selling like maybe $80, $90 puts, cash secured puts. So if it never gets down there, well, I get my free premium, free profit. If it gets down there, I get to buy cheaper anyway. So I think that's the way that I'm looking to trade it until it forms a pattern, which right now there is no pattern. Because this pattern is very similar to Klarna and any other IPO. Most IPOs are the same if you really think about it, So we'll talk about this later. But let's see what else we got going on this morning. I've also been thinking about swing trade on Lululemon again. Lululemon is getting tempting again here. Lululemon above this area. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Keep an eye out on that. I think it's a good spot. Nokia. Tempted to actually do Nokia here over high of the day. It filled the gap there. Might take a shot at this one, guys. Nokia. All right. Right here. I'll take a shot at this for maybe it goes to the gap fill. NOK long. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to do Nokia long here. 942 by 924. So basically thinking of this as a pullback into the 200 period moving average, gap fill, right? So pull back into the 200 MA, filling the gap. I think it's a good spot for it to try to make a higher low and then for it to go back up and fill the gap here today. But we'll see, and it is an aggressive trade for sure. The markets are still kind of choppy here, right? Look at the spiders, S&P 500. Look what they've done today. Nothing. Just up and down and up and down and not really doing anything. Qs have been bouncing. You know, Qs had a little bit of a drop. Held the blue line perfectly, right? We drew this blue line this morning. I said that's the level that the market needs to hold. And look what it's doing. It actually held that perfectly there and bounced up from there. Now the question becomes, is it going to go all the way up and fill the gap? Or is it going to fail somewhere over here and roll over? So that's the question we got here on that. So again, I gave a pretty big stop on Nokia. Didn't really need to, I don't think. I chose to give it like 924, which puts our overall risk at 18 cents, which isn't bad at all. But technically, you could just use the low of the day, which is 930, and you would have had instead of an 18-cent stop, you would have had a 12-cent stop. I'm only gonna shoot for 1R on Nokia. I'm only gonna shoot for 1-to-1 for the day trade. That is, obviously swing trade. I'm in it. I'm gonna hold it for a long time. But Nokia for day trade, I'm gonna look for a target of 960, which is basically exactly 1R. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Is Jared selling today? His SpaceX shares? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, for sure. He needs a new car, right? Apple's coming back up, guys. Let's watch Apple again. Apple's coming back up. Let's watch Apple again. Look for an entry on this one. I might even, you know what, guys? I'm actually going to do this. Nokia, stop, raise to break even. All right, Nokia, stop loss, raise to break even, and then I might get in Apple. All right, so Nokia, stop loss is now at break even. So worst case, it'll come down and take us out break even. We don't make anything. Best case is going to go up into our target of 960, and we can get a profit there. But now this trade is free. Looking good there on Nokia. Moving on up. I basically just bought it over here above the high of the day. Stop loss down here. And looking for a target of right above, about the gap fill area. But I am liking Apple now. No, Jared will not be buying a Lambo. Jared is a McLaren guy. He is exclusive McLaren or Corvettes, no other cars. All right, guys, I'm going to take a shot at Apple. Maybe I shouldn't. Apple and me, we don't get along. But the pattern looks interesting here. 315, 15, 315, 20, 15, 16. Stop loss low of the day, 313, 48. I'm going to take a shot at Apple. All right, guys, right here. Apple, 315.16 by low of the day. All right. There's the Apple. Alrighty. Target's going to be 316.85. Target's going to be 316.85 for 1R. But all right, off to a good start so far. That's a nice start on Apple. Looking good. Looking good so far. Nokia hanging in there too. Nokia went up to 950, so we are already protected on this. Stop is already at break even, so Nokia is a free trade. Cannot lose on it anymore. Bought it at 942. Now my stop loss is also at 942. So worst case break even. Best case it'll go up there and get us our 1 hour target. Apple, Apple also triggered, targets 316.85, which is above the high of the day, but looks pretty good. Looks pretty good here on Apple. If it can get above 316, I might just go break even, honestly. If it gets above 316, I'll probably go break even on Apple. So Apple went up to 315.96. Come on, Apple. Get above there. Get above that high of the day. Get above that. All right, what's the Qs up to? Markets are still moving up. Qs are still bouncing, moving on up. But look at this. Qs gap down today under the green line, under the 50 MA. And now as it's bouncing up, it's actually running up into the 50 MA. So it'll be interesting to see if the 50 MA causes it to be resistance or it doesn't matter. And we're basically going towards the gap fill. So that's the name of the game here. All right. Check out ELF. Yeah, I saw this morning. Volume's the problem here. Doesn't have great volume on this one. Yeah. I mean, thank God I'm not a car guy, Ollie. Yeah, I've never really got into cars. Even as a kid, I wasn't really into cars as such. And thank God for that, because I'd be broke if I was into cars. So Apple's hanging in there. Market's running up, but Apple's looking a little bit weaker than the markets. So Apple went up to 315.97 here. You know what, guys? It is probably not a great thing to do. It's a little too tight of a management, but I think I'm going to do that. Apple stop to break even. All right, raising Apple stop to break even. So now I just don't want to lose today. So Apple stop to break even. All right, we got 2 trades open now. Both are free trades. Yeah, Nokia's doing a good job. Nokia just doing a good job. Went up here to 957 here. 957 on Nokia. So 3 cents from our target, right? Our target on Nokia is 960. It just went up to 957. So 3 cents, missed the target by 3 cents, but hopefully it can hold it and go back up and get us our target. But it's not a bad position to be in. Not a bad position to be in. I have 2 long trades right now, Nokia and Apple. Both are in profit, and I've raised my stop loss on both of them to break even. So if both of them pull back, worst that can happen is I don't make any money today. It'll be break even day. That's the worst that can happen. Best that can happen is, they both go back up here and get us our target. So, but not a bad position to be in. So yeah, let me know. Anybody in Apple? Anybody in Nokia? Anybody in both? Type it in the chat. Anybody doing any of these trades, or both of them, or one of them? You hit 1 hour in Apple? Oh, nice. Yeah, you must have had a tighter stop loss. But yeah, nice job. ID is in Apple and short the market. Michael's in both. Bobby's in it. Nokia, Dean's in a small position. Jason's looking at NVIDIA. 1 minute buy sit up there. This one right there. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. FEP. The daily is the problem on NVIDIA. Right, the daily chart is up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th green day in a row. So that's the reason why it hasn't ripped today, because it's 6th green day. But yeah, this buy sit up, I like that. Nothing wrong with that. Got an Apple before you trade. Awesome. There you go. Beautiful. Apple's looking good here. If it can get back above 316 again, I think it's going to pop. If Apple can just get above 316 again, I think we can put in a nice move there. It's starting to look actually really nice. If it can get above that 316. I think Apple will end up doing a good job. The only hope is that it holds our break-even stop before it breaks out, because that's the only problem that could be happening. All right, yeah. All right, I'm out Apple break-even. I still like it though. I'm out Apple break-even, guys. I'm out Apple break-even. However, I still like it. I think that it might do something like this, where it comes down, holds the VWAP, and then it goes back up and breaks out. So I still like Apple. I would say keep an eye out on it, but I'm out of it break-even. Nokia, I'm still in Nokia. Just looking for 3 more cents above the high of the day. That's all. Just looking for 3 more cents above the high of the day. Qs are still moving higher, heading back up towards the gap fill. But it's going to be 10 o'clock in about 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, we got a 10 o'clock coming up, so markets could reverse around 10 o'clock. I still like Apple. I feel like I got shaken out here. Maybe I'll use options and get back in on Apple. And with a tight stop under VWAP, let's see, 315. I might do that actually, because I feel like it's gonna get it done.
Order filled.
All right, I'm gonna do Apple, guys. I'm gonna do options this time. August 21st, 310 call. August 21st, 310 call on Apple. All right, try to grab it. So I'm gonna do Apple. August 21st, 310 call for 995, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, I'm in the Apple with options now. I'm gonna use a stop loss right under here. So if Apple comes all the way down, takes out this area, I'll get out of my options for a tiny loss. But I feel like my break even tagged me, and I feel like it's gonna still go back up there. So I'll just try to use options to, get something done on Apple. Is the plan. All right. All right, Nokia pulling back a little bit now. Nokia went up to 957, missed our target by 3 cents. However, I can't complain about it because, it stopped where it should have stopped, right? Like, that's the gap fill. The gap fill was 957, 956, so it ran up right there. So I can't really fault it. It did basically, technically, what it was supposed to do, which is run up into the gap fill, which it did. I was hoping we can, get a little bit more off the upside. But again, stop losses at break even on Nokia. We cannot lose on it. Hopefully it can find some support, make a higher low, and make another attempt to go higher is what I'd be looking for. But, it's possible it does something like Apple, come down to the VWAP, take us out break even, and then work again. That'll be pretty annoying, but it is what it is. All right, Apple's coming back up here. Looking good, trying to take out the high of the day on Apple. All right, I'm taking profits on my Apple calls, guys. Taking profits on my Apple calls here. All right, it's about a 45, 50 cent gain. I think it's a good area to take it. So take the profits on the Apple calls. We bought at 995. All right, at 1045, you could probably get it now. Yeah, you could probably get 1045 right now, or 1050 even. All right, out Apple, guys. Took profits on the Apple calls. Not bad. We got about a 50 cent gain on Apple. So again, stock trade was too tight. Got our break even, but realized it was a bad idea. It was a mistake. Realized that it's gonna probably do a higher low. Got back in using options. Exited on the spike. And got half hour back. So all right, not bad. Not bad. Everybody, not bad. First trade on Nokia stock trade, made $0. Second options trade, made about $500. Nokia, hopefully it'll do a higher low. I'm still in it. Unfortunately, missed the target by 3 cents. But worst case is break even. Best case, Hopefully it can go back up. But we are getting 4 minutes away from 10 o'clock, and markets could decide to pull back at 10 o'clock. So keep an eye on that. All right, keep an eye on that. So what else, everybody? What are you guys up to? What are you guys watching right now? Type it in the chat. What are you guys watching? What are you looking at? What are you looking to get into? If there's a stock that you're looking at right now, you want me to take a look at it, type it in the chat. Be happy to take a look at it for you. If there's anything you're in right now or looking to get into, or a trade you took earlier today, you want me to review that for you, type it in the chat. But for me here so far, AMD has been sloppy today. There was no trade on that. ELF has super light volume today, so there was no trade on this one. Tesla, is bouncing higher. We still have our call options, covered call options on this one, so that looks good. From a swing trade, we'll have a nice profit there on Tesla tomorrow morning. CRWD is rolling over, coming back down, but it went right into the gap fill, so I'm not really interested in shorting that today. CMCSA failed right at the resistance, so nothing going on here. O'Reilly, same thing, couldn't get above that resistance there. IONQ, same thing, couldn't get above that resistance there. Apple, I think we did a good job on trading Apple, yeah. We did a good job trading Apple there. So that was a good profitable trade. ALB, pretty junky stock today. Did nothing at all. Datadog, been pretty boring here. But look at what Datadog did, guys. Look at what Datadog did, right? So I drew this uptrend line this morning. Look what it did. And gapped down under the uptrend line. Rallied back up. Look where it stopped. Right into the backside of that trend line. So this trend line, which was support 3 times, broke it. On the way up, trend line became resistance. So not a bad pullback there. And that's why it's really important for you guys to draw these trend lines on your daily chart. Because if you don't draw your trend lines and you only look at horizontal stuff, then you'll be like, oh, yay, look at that. It's under the support. But you wouldn't understand why it stopped over there. So it's really important to have your trend lines there. All right, SOUN gapped up into resistance today. That one also failed. Didn't do anything. So yeah, I've been pretty junky here. It's been a pretty boring day. Pretty boring day. But I'm happy to see Tesla go higher. I'm happy to see Tesla go higher. We're making good money on our covered call position there. SpaceX starting to look higher here, guys. Believe it or not, this looks like a pretty interesting day trade. Check out SpaceX. That's a nice looking pattern there. Long over $110. Stop loss under 108. Maybe $2 stop loss. Very tempting. Check out SpaceX. Looks like a breakout potential there. Might give you a nice day trade maybe back to 111, 112. Not bad. I just don't trust it right now because the time is 10 o'clock. And 10 o'clock, the markets could reverse and pull back. So I'm not a big fan of the markets right now. But SpaceX, looking pretty good. All right, Nokia held our stop loss, so that's good. Nokia went down to 944. I mean, so far, it's held our break-even stop. Hopefully, it can do that and continue higher. But yeah, look at the markets here. Looking like they might want to pull back. The time is 10 o'clock right now. So we can get a 10 o'clock drop in the markets. Maybe we get a 10 o'clock drop in the markets there. So be mindful of that. But again, SpaceX looks pretty good long. Looks pretty good long here on SpaceX. Not going to lie. Actually looks pretty good. Who's doing it? Anybody doing the SpaceX? If time was not 10 o'clock, I might have done it. If the time was not 10 o'clock, I might have done it. T1 Energy. Yeah, looking like it wants to go higher, although it's already up a few days in a row right now on the TE. Got into it. Eddie did. Well, good luck. Hopefully it works for you. Again, as I said, I would have done it, but I feel the market's going to pull back here. So the market's going to pull back. I don't know if it's a good idea to get into it long. You know, that's my thinking on SpaceX. But the pattern looks awesome. Looks great. So it looks like it was a good exit on Apple, everybody. It looks like it was a good exit on the Apple. Apple just popped up above the high of the day. We sold the high of the day where everybody else was buying the breakout. We sold it to them. We took our profits. That was a good exit there because this thing is all the way back down now. All right, not bad. Now I feel better about the stock trade. Yeah, Lululemon, I mean, I like it as a swing trade. Lululemon looks like a pretty solid looking swing trade. I really like it, actually. Earnings are on the 27th of August, so you do have time. But yeah, I really like Lulu. Monthly chart right into support. You know, weekly chart creating a bottom here. Yeah, it looks good. I like Lululemon swing trade. I like it. So we'll see what happens on Nokia. You know, stop loss on Nokia is at break even. Hopefully it can hold it. But yeah, kind of disappointing that it went like 3 cents from the target. But all good. So yeah, guys, another slow trading day here. But this is reality. This is the reality of trading, right? It's not the social media trading. Oh, look at me. I just turned $300 into 5 bazillion, you know? Or, hey, look at all these 100 trades I took today. I'm like, yeah, right. But this is the reality. It's been a slow trading day. I have done 3 trades today. Nokia long, which I'm still in. Stop losses at break even. Worst case, I don't make anything. Break even trade. Best case, goes up and I make 1R. Apple, stock trade. First trade, break even. Then got back in options. Locked in 50 cents on the option. So that was a profitable trade. And now it looks like it was a good exit there. And that's it. Those are the 3 trades that I've done today. Nothing exciting here. Yeah. Nothing exciting here. TSCO. Yeah, TSCO looks like a good swing trade. I agree. Yep. I think we talked about it a couple days ago. It looks good. I like it. Looks good. SpaceX doing a little fake out here. A little fake out on SpaceX, although it did pop up almost to 111. Got above that 109.79. Went up to 110.74. So went up about $1. Back to the high of the day, but couldn't get above the high of the day there. And now pulling back on SpaceX. So, you know, I probably would get out of it if I was still in it or whatever. Tesla looking for a higher low. Okay. Cool. You know what? Looks like a curl pattern. By the way, here's an idea. This looks pretty decent today. VG, Venture Global. Yeah, Venture Global. Not a bad idea there. VG, Venture Global. Like 1281 by 1266. Not a bad idea. But here's one that I'm a little bit interested in. Zillow. Zillow has a curl pattern. Yeah. Zillow has a curl pattern there. Interested in this one, actually. What's the low today? 30.54. You know what? I might do it. Zillow. Trying to think. Markets are the tricky part, but I like Zillow long. Keep an eye on Zillow long here. Long here. Stop loss under low of the day. A little bit of a curl pattern. It might be better to do Zillow instead of Zillow ZG. Yeah, ZG is better than Z is better than ZG. But if you want to do it long here, stop under low of the day, target back to the high of the day. Interesting idea on ZG. We had something similar yesterday on that stock. What was the other stock yesterday? Do you guys remember? The big gap down yesterday that did the curl pattern we were looking at? Was it Netflix? No, it wasn't Netflix. Let me take a look at my carryover list. I'll probably have it there. All right, Nokia coming back up. Still in the Nokia, guys. Maybe this gets it done. Maybe this gets it done. Then it'll be a nice day. Come on, Nokia. I'm going to raise my stop loss on Nokia to 944. All right. Nokia stop loss raised to 944. So now worst case, at least we'll make 2 cents on the trade. You know, worst case, we'll make something out of it. But best case, it goes up here and hits the target. Stop raise on Nokia. 944. Right under there. Anybody still in it? Took a lot of patience, but hopefully it can run up here and get us our target. Man, I'm trying to have this mushroom coffee. It takes so much getting used to, you know? Like the flavor, the mushroomy, the earthy flavor, you know? I don't know how I feel about that. Come on, Nokia. Come on, Nokia. Rip over high the day there. Get moving there. Yeah, I just like normal Colombian coffee I really like. And I like Costa Rican coffee I really like. I just ordered a bunch of Hawaiian coffee. So looking forward to that. I think that'll be arriving maybe today. So looking forward to trying the Hawaiian white coffee. Apparently the caffeine or like the contents on that Hawaiian white coffee are like 5 times normal coffee. So I'm like, hell yeah, bring that on. Bring that on. Even the guy, he was selling me the coffee. He's like, be careful with this one. I'm like, it's just coffee. What are you talking about? You're talking like they're drugs. They're like, no, be careful of this white Hawaiian coffee. It'll jack you up. It's like one of this cup is equal to 6 cups of normal coffee. I'm like, hell yeah, that sounds great. Bring that on. You know, wake me up when September ends. Coffee should taste like coffee, right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because I like the taste of coffee. So when you have mushroom coffee, you know, it tastes like very different. So anyways. So we just got to be patient, guys, on Nokia, but we're almost there. You know, all we got to do is just go 3 cents above the high of the day, and then we are going to get our target. All right. We are going to get our target, hopefully, here on Mr. Nokia for the day trade. Swing trade, I'm going to hold on. You know, $20 would be a nice way on a swing trade on this thing. There we go. Nokia, guys. Come on. Went to 959, 960. I'm still waiting to get filled, but it filled not much. It did hit the 960 there, though. Nice job. Nice job. Nokia, target hit. All right. Nice job on Nokia. Everybody, patience paid off. Patience paid off on the Nokia. Great job there. Great job there. Who got it? Who got the Nokia? Took its good old time, but patience paid off. We were in long over here, above the high of the day. It went all the way up, filled the gap, missed the target by 3 cents, came all the way back down, right? Then we finally raised our stop all the way up here, and then boom, finally higher low, higher high, went back into an uptrend, and the target has been hit for 960. All right. Good day today. Now we're having a good day. Break even on the Apple stock, which again turned out to be a good thing. Because if I was doing all or nothing on Apple, it actually is coming all the way back down and stopping us out. So we actually did a good job on Apple there. So Apple stock trade break even. Apple options trade, you know, we made 50 cents. So 0.5 R. And then Nokia, we got a 1 R. So overall about a 1.5 R positive up day. and I will take that. Not bad at all. All right, and those of you who are wondering what the pattern was, open up the strategy course and look at the chapter called R to G, right? Open up the strategy course or the Evolve Summit recordings and go to the chapter called R to G, and you're going to see that pattern there. So if you're wondering, what is that pattern? Well, it's in the course. So take that. Nice job. Nice job there. All righty. Yeah, good stuff. Nice exit on Nokia as well. It's pulling back right now. Nice job there, guys. Good, 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 good. What else, everybody? What else we got going on? What else we got going on? The markets are trying to bounce. 60-minute buy setup on the markets. Check out the S&P. This is like a 60-minute buy setup pattern. Gapped up, pulled back, a little bit of a retest, bottoming tail. So now if the S&P can get back above this 772 and a quarter, then you might continue to go higher on the market. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, Qs are all the way back up now. We have filled the gap. So if the markets decide to pull back, this would be the area that they're going to try to pull back. So if you're looking for a scalp short, I mean, this is not a bad idea there, this area, you know, if the market's going to pull back, that is. ELF, am I looking at the wrong thing or you're looking at the wrong thing? I'm just seeing it's same place it was like an hour ago. Or you're talking about the daily chart. Yeah, daily chart's been moving. You know, monthly was a good entry there. Technical entry right there. Look at that. You know, stock pulled back from 220 down to 52. Went back to 140. Double bottom retest. There you go. Buy it right there. Stop loss right there. And, you know, you're crushing the swing trade. You feel like Microsoft wants to test 500 again? Yeah, I mean, it does look like it. I would agree with you on that. You know, it's got this little flag pattern going on right now on the 1 minute chart. If it gets above that flag pattern, 500 is doable. Yeah, 500 is doable above that flag. Michael says could have gotten 2R on the CHIM or YM. CHYM if I wasn't such a wuss. Yeah, look at that thing. It's still going. Still going, Michael. Come on, Michael. Come on, Michael. But nice job there. Did you get into this stock like right over here? Entry above that high there? That's a pretty solid entry looking. Yeah. Daily for me is a little bit up there. You know, my plan wouldn't let me do the daily just because 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, a bunch of green in a row. But yeah, intraday pattern, pretty good. Nice job there. Not bad at all on the CHYM. All right, guys. So it is 10:15. I mean, we can keep trading if you want, but I think I'm good with today. You know, it is Thursday. Markets are choppy, and we already got our money today. We took 3 trades, 2 winners, 1 break even, no losers. So I think that's a good place to keep it at that and move into a little bit of a lesson. So I gave you guys this lesson the other day. I want to give another one today. It's going to be maybe a short lesson. Maybe it takes 15 minutes, but I think it's an important one for a lot of people. So before we wrap up today, I just want to share a quick lesson with you. And obviously, I want to start by just saying, you know, obviously, I appreciate everybody who's here. You know, whether you followed me for years or, you know, whether you used to be part of Live Traders when Jared was here, or whether, this is the first time that you ever are watching me do it, if you're on a trial or wherever, well, thank you for being here. But I also want to ask a slightly uncomfortable question. All right. Actually, you know what? Let me do this on YouTube too. So, yeah. So I'm streaming now on YouTube. And so let me ask you this uncomfortable question. And I mean this with pure love, right? I mean this with pure love. What the hell, those of you watching me right now on YouTube, what the hell were you doing on YouTube during the freaking trading day? All right? I mean, seriously, the market was open, stocks were moving, opportunities were developing, and somehow you ended up watching me trade. Now, obviously, I'm glad that you did. Please don't leave. But think about what that might be telling you, though. Maybe you were here because you wanted to see what I was watching. Maybe you wanted confirmation of your own ideas. Or maybe you just didn't have a plan this morning. Maybe you were jumping between streams and scanners and social media and accounts and Discord groups and chat rooms and hoping somebody would show you the trade that was about to work. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to learn. But the problem, guys, begins when watching other people becomes a substitute for developing your own ability to trade. Let me read that again. The problem begins when watching other people becomes a substitute for developing your own ability to trade. Because watching is not the same as training. And consuming information is not the same as building a skill. So again, you guys know I love analogies, I love stories, right? So let me explain this through another story. So there was once a young man who wanted to become a great boxer, all right? And every night he watched footage of the greatest fighters in the world. He studied Muhammad Ali's footwork. He studied Mike Tyson's combination. He studied Floyd Mayweather's defense. He could explain every single movement. He knew which punches they threw. He knew how they moved their heads. He knew how they controlled the distance. After several years, he understood and he believed that he understood boxing. Then one day he finally walked into a real boxing gym. The coach put him in the ring with a trained fighter. The bell rang, ding, ding, ding. And within about 30 seconds, everything he thought he knew disappeared. Why? Because he had collected knowledge without developing capability. He had watched thousands of punches, but he never actually learned how to remain calm while one was coming towards his face. That's what happens to a lot of traders. They watched hundreds of hours of videos. They know the terminology. They can explain VWAP. They can explain support and resistance. They know what a bull flag is. They know what an opening range breakout is. They can tell you that the Federal Reserve is what the Federal Reserve is doing. They might even have 5 monitors and are very impressive, looking desk. But when the trade goes against them, the knowledge disappears. When they miss an entry, they chase. When they take 2 losses, they size up. When they are up money, they get greedy. When they're down money, they get desperate. So the problem is not that they need more information. The problem is that they never train themselves inside the environment where the skill must actually be performed. So the boxer, he didn't need another documentary. He needed a gym. He needed a coach. He needed training partners. He needed repetition. He needed someone standing beside him saying, your hands are dropping. Get your hands up. Your feet are crossing. You're pulling away the punch. Fix it. And traders need the same thing. Not necessarily someone giving them a magical alert. Not someone promising that every trade is going to win. Not someone just, dishing out another indicator. You need an environment that teaches you how to think, how to prepare, how to manage the risk, and how to review your behavior while the market is actually still moving. Because guys, I've just seen this. The market reveals things about you that a pre-recorded video never can. Market will reveal things about you that a pre-recorded video never can. Here's another story about that. Imagine, let me think of this. So imagine imagine 2 people, decide that they want to climb this mountain. The first person, download every map he can find. He watches videos about the mountain. He reads reviews from people who climbed it. He buys the most expensive boots, the best jacket, the best backpack filled with all the equipment. He feels prepared. The second person hires a guide who has climbed that mountain hundreds of times. And guess what? They begin climbing. The first person moves faster. He feels confident. He has all the information. But after several hours, guess what happened? The weather changes. The trail becomes harder to see. The temperature drops. One path looks safe, but it leads towards unstable ground. That is when the guide becomes valuable, right? Not because the guide can control the weather, not because the guide can carry the person all the way up to the mountain. The guide becomes valuable because he has seen these conditions before. He knows which path looks attractive, but is dangerous. He knows when to continue. He knows when to slow down. And most importantly, he knows when turning around is the smartest decision. And trading is a lot like climbing a mountain in changing weather. The chart looks obvious after the move has happened. The setup looks perfect when someone posts a screenshot. But in real time, the market is messy, right? When I post my trade of the day slides, after the fact, you can all see it and wow, look at that pattern. That's so clear. But in the moment when I'm doing it, something like Nokia, in the moment when it hasn't developed, you guys are like, I can't see it. Because in real time, guys, the markets are messy. In real time, you don't know whether the breakout is going to follow through. You don't know whether the pullback is going to hold. You don't know whether the next trade will win or lose. That uncertainty is where traders reveal their habits. It's very easy to be disciplined when looking at yesterday's chart. The test is whether you can remain disciplined today when your money and your emotions are involved. And here's the uncomfortable reality check. Some of you have been trying to figure this out alone for years. And you've told yourself, I'm smart. I'll eventually get it. And you know what? You probably are smart. But intelligence can sometimes become a disadvantage because it convinces us that we shouldn't need help. We think asking for guidance means we're not capable. We think joining a community means we aren't independent. We think about every think about every high performance profession in the world. Professional athletes have coaches. The greatest golfers in the world have swing coaches. Championship teams film together. Surgeons train under other surgeons. Pilots use instructors and simulators. Even the coach usually has a coach. But yet traders lose money for 3 years and say, I think I just need to watch a few more free videos. And at some point you have to ask yourself whether the way you're currently learning is actually producing the results you want. Because there's a difference between being busy and actually progressing. Like a man can, run on treadmill for an hour and travel like 0 miles. I mean, he worked hard, he sweated, he became tired, but he didn't go anywhere. And some traders are doing the mental version of that. They wake up early, they scan the market, they watch the videos, they read the posts, they take the trades, they feel stressed, they spend hours looking at charts. But when they compare themselves to 6 months ago, their decisions actually have not changed. They're still chasing. They're still breaking stops. They're still taking random setups. They're still trying to make back losses. They're still exhausted, but they haven't traveled anywhere. And that's not a lack of effort. That's effort without any direction. And again, I don't mean to ramble on, but I feel like it's an important one and somebody needs to hear this. And more effort in the wrong direction doesn't solve the problem. Sometimes it gets you lost even faster. So let me give you another analogy there. Imagine that a plane takes off from New York and is only 1 degree off course. At the beginning, the error looks insignificant, right? After a few minutes, you barely notice it. But the longer the plane travels, the farther it gets from its intended destination. Trading mistakes often work, guys, the same way. Taking one trade without full confirmation doesn't feel serious. Moving one stop loss doesn't feel serious, all right? Risking slightly more than your plan allows doesn't feel serious. Skipping one journal entry doesn't feel serious. Risking, but those small deviations, they're becoming your standard. And your standard becomes your identity. And eventually you are miles away from the trader you originally intended to become. And that is why you need feedback. Because human beings are not very good at observing themselves objectively. We're not very good, let's just be honest. I mean, you cannot see your own golf swing while you're swinging. You cannot see your own facial expressions during a difficult conversation. And in trading, you often cannot recognize your own emotional patterns while you're inside of them. So you need a mirror. A strong trading environment becomes that mirror. It shows you how professionals prepare before the market opens. It shows you how trades are filtered rather than forced. It shows you that sometimes the best decision is absolutely nothing, to do nothing. It shows you how risk is defined before the reward is imagined. It shows you that losing trades are normal, but undisciplined trades are not. And that distinction is incredibly important. A losing trade can still be a good trade. A winning trade can still be a terrible trade. So if you break your rules, or you risk too much, or you chase an entry, and somehow you end up making money, well, guess what? The market may have rewarded the exact behavior that will eventually destroy you. Think about it. That's like someone driving home drunk, arriving safely, and deciding that drunk driving must be a good strategy. I mean, it's ridiculous. The result does not validate the decision. So professional traders learn to judge themselves by their execution. Amateurs judge themselves by the last outcome. That is one of the biggest psychological shifts that you have to make right now. And I want to be very clear about something. I don't believe you should blindly follow anybody. Not me, not someone on YouTube, not someone on X, not someone who posts screenshots of Lamborghinis and tells you they've discovered a secret indicator. You should never outsource responsibility. A real mentor should not make you more dependent. A real mentor should help you become more capable. The goal is not for you to need someone to tell you what button to press for the rest of your life. The goal is to develop a repeatable system, improve your decision making, and eventually become someone who knows exactly what they're looking for. So guys, just before I continue on with this, type in a 1 in the chat. When you see my trades, you kind of know, if I post the trade of the day slides, you kind of know exactly what I was looking at. Right? They're either flashes, opening range breakouts, pullback trade. Like you can look at the chart and you can see, okay, that's the one that unmolded. So now let me ask you a question. If somebody was to take a look at your trades, the charts of your entries and stops, would they be able to say the same? That, oh, I know exactly how Derek trades. I know exactly how Matt trades. Like they're all the same setups. Now, maybe it is, right? So think about that even when you're looking at anybody else's trades. If you're in your own accountability pod or you're in the coaching group, you're analyzing other people's trades, I want you to take a look and see, all their trades look similar? Or every time it's a different reason, it's a different entry. Oh, this time I got in it because of this. This time I did it because of that. And every time there's a reason for why they got in, but you know it's not a system. When you look at their trades, you're like, I don't know what the pattern was. I have no idea, right? So the goal is to develop a repeatable system, improve your decision making, and eventually become someone who knows exactly what you're looking for. But independence is built through proper training. It is not built through isolation. So there's a difference. Again, maybe I'm overdoing the stories. I love giving analogies and stories. Because, hey, the best book in the world, the Bible, right? Jesus talked in parables. So I'm like, all right, we should probably try to model that. So think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, someone holds the back of the seat. The child doesn't become dependent because somebody helped them balance. The support allows them to experience proper balance long enough to recognize it for themselves. But eventually, the person lets go. And that's what good education should do. It should help you experience the correct process repeatedly until it becomes your own process. And that is why I believe going deep with one credible system is more valuable than sampling 100 different options or to even trying to build your own. Because if you try to learn a language from 10 teachers at the same time, one teaches you Spanish, one teaches you French, one teaches you Italian, one teaches you German. Every day you're going to learn a few new words. After a year, you know how to say hello in 10 languages, but you cannot hold a conversation in any one of them. And that's how many of traders learn. One person tells them buy breakouts and do the flashes and be aggressive. One person tells them, oh, don't trade that early, wait for a retest. Another tells them to fade the breakouts. Another tells them to use a tight stop. Another tells them to give the trade more room. One person says this indicator is amazing, look at this volume indicator. The other person has 14 indicators on a chart. And then you meet me and I say indicators are useless. Right? So you absorb a little bit from everyone and eventually you have no idea whose rules to follow. Think about that. And when I'm speaking right now, I want you to think if that's you. Right? I want you to think, is that me when I'm saying all these things? You absorb a little bit from everyone, but eventually you have no idea whose rules you are following or what to do. You don't need 100 strategies. You need one system, one approach that you understand deeply enough to execute on it under pressure. Because depth creates confidence. Repetition creates recognition. Feedback creates correction. And community creates accountability. The last part matters more than people realize. Because trading alone can be dangerous. Go on Reddit. You can see that, how dangerous trading can be. Right? When nobody sees your decisions, it becomes very easy to negotiate with yourself. Yeah, I'll just give this trade, just another 10 cents. Yeah, this one looks really good. I'll just take a double size on this one. I really like this pattern. I'll do double the size. Yeah, I know my plan says to stop after 3 losses, but one more trade, I could just make it back. But because nobody's there to challenge your story, guess what happens? That story becomes your reality. And accountability is the only way to interrupt that pattern. It reminds you that your rules were written by the calm version of you to protect you from the emotional version of you. That's what it is. When we're creating a trading plan, what are we really doing? We're just having the calm version of us give us rules to protect the emotional version of us when the markets are open. So for those of you who are watching today and listening in today, I want you to honestly evaluate your current environment. Okay? Current environment. Not your intentions, not the amount of information you've collected, your own environment. Are you preparing with a clear process? Do you know exactly what qualifies as your setup? Do you know exactly what qualifies as your setup? Do you know exactly how much you're risking before you enter? Are you reviewing your trades? Is anyone helping you identify mistakes that you cannot see? Are you surrounded by traders who reinforce discipline and teaching you one system? Or are you influenced by social media who reinforces excitement? Are you actually genuinely progressing in your trading, or are you repeating the same month over and over again? And you think you're deluding yourself that I'm making progress, but you're actually not. I'm not asking those questions to make you feel bad. I'm asking because another year will pass whether you change something or not. 12 months from now, you could be a completely different trader. More patient, more selective, more confident, more consistent. Or you could still be the one searching YouTube during the trading day, hoping the next person you watch will finally give you the missing piece. And maybe the missing piece isn't another video. Maybe it's a better environment. And that's what I've worked really hard to create inside the Live Traders community. You can see how I operate. I'm trading every day, Monday to Friday. I explain what I'm seeing. You're watching my wins, the losses. You're watching me wait for something to show up. You're watching the trade management and my decisions in real time. There's no magic. There's no promise that every trade's going to win. But there is a process. But there is structure. But there are standards. And there's a community of people working to become better traders than simply searching for the next exciting trade. So if today gave you value, don't let it become one more video that you just watched, enjoyed, and then, just forgot about it. Yeah, Anmol, thank you. Very nice lesson. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the next morning you end up doing something what you were already doing. So take the next step. right? And those of you on a trial or watching on social media, whatever, come check it out. Come inside and experience the environment for yourself. All right. So join us in the trading room. Watch how we prepare. Watch how we filter our trades. Watch how we manage the risk. And guess what? Ask questions. And those, in 7 days, you're going to be able to decide whether the environment that can help you stop digging shallow wells and finally start developing real wealth. We talked about that. Right? So you do not have to commit your entire future today, but you do need to stop pretending that the same approach will suddenly create a different result for you. So again, this is meant as a wake-up call. Stop pretending that the same approach you've been trying for the last whole year is suddenly just going to randomly, magically work and create a different result. The market doesn't reward how long you wanted success. It rewards the skills and habits you have actually built. And the right environment can shorten that distance between knowing what to do and becoming someone who consistently does that. So once again, the real question is whether you're going to be in the same exact place tomorrow, searching for another something, or whether you're going to step into the room, begin trading with intention, and finally treat your trading like the professional skill you say you want it to become. So this is your wake-up call. Is to wake up and make a change, right? Make a change. Learn a system. Don't learn trading. Everybody can teach you how to trade. Anybody in the world can teach you how to trade, guys. But learning how to make money consistently and building a system, that's a completely different skill set. I can teach you support and resistance. Look at this volume indicator. I can teach you that, but that's not a system though. That's concept. I can say, yeah, when it breaks out and it retests, you just buy it. Okay, great. That's not as clear of a system as like Flash, FVP. They're just like, there's no question whether that's there or that's not. That's when you know you have a system where there's no room for negotiation. Either that is that pattern or it's not. If you have to think, you have to make a concept, you have to explain the trade, you don't have a system yet. You might still make money, but you don't have a system yet. And when you don't have a system, there's market cycles. Every 5-10 years, market cycles come in. And those who don't have a system get wiped out. I've seen that. Many different prop trading firms. I've seen that even with, people that I work with in the past. They might be great traders. They trade on concepts and all these things coming in alignment, but it's still not a system. And when, the tide goes back, the system survives because the system can be tweaked with data. A concept cannot be tweaked. So hopefully that helps. On that note, I'm going to call it a day there. Z is working. Yeah, I'm not surprised. There you go. There's the Z working out. That's a 5-minute curl pattern right out of my strategy course. Is that a system or is that not a system? I don't need any concept. I don't need to look at the volume. I don't need to look at anything else. But I know that's a system pattern. That's a 5-minute curl right out of the strategy course. I gave you the entry to buy it right here. Put your stop under the low of the day. Target the high of the day. It's almost there to the target. But guess what? Now you can go right under the VWAP as a stop. So now worst case, it's still a small profitable trade. And best case, it's going to go up there. So that's a curl pattern right out of the Evolve Summit recordings. So that's what I mean when I say system. You can look at my trades and you can tell what it is. If you look at, your own trades or somebody else's trades and you cannot figure out what they traded, why they traded it, it's not a system. It's a concept. Concepts don't last that long in the business. This is the same system I've been doing since 2010. So, all right. So that's that for me here. I'm going to call it a day. So a quick recap for those of you who are logging in late. I took 3 trades today. My first trade of the day was Nokia. Bought it long right over here above the high of the day, 942. Right, put your stop loss down here, and then it went up. It came down. It went up again. I raised my stop loss, better than break even, and then right here on this move up, we took our profits there. So that was a first nice trade. Second trade was Apple. I took it long right over here. Apple went up, looked pretty good, and then it came down. I got out break even, but then when I got out break even, I bought Apple call options, which I ran it up here for about a 50-cent profit there. which was a nice trade. So all in all, about 1.5 hour day. Not bad. I'll take it. It's been a pretty boring, slow day, but we still ended up having 3 trades today, 2 winners, 1 break even, no losers. So on that note, I'm going to call it a day here. Have a great one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Back in action, same time, same place. See you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one. Take care.